Good evening to one and all. Actually, due to some technical problem, principal sir can't be able to join us. On behalf of our management, respected principal sir and register sir, I welcome our today's presenter, Mr. P. Balaganesh, a research associate, Arunai Institute of Technology, Satyamangalam. Actually, I am glad to mention this. He is our beloved alumni. Actually, I want to share some moments. Actually, Mr. Balaganesh studied BTech Chemical Engineering in our engineering college. Actually, I think he is passed out from 2010. I think also. When he was a student, while taking a seminar, he behaved like a professor, not a student. Actually, I thought that he definitely one day will become a professor. So similarly, today I act as a HOD of civil engineering department, formerly working in some other colleges. Today, nowadays he is doing a research associate in Untitled Institute of Technology. I welcome once again Mr. Balaganesh to present today's seminar on prototype validation, converting prototype into a startup program. Once again, I want to thank our Dr. Jyotish Kumar for creating such a wonderful platform to present today's program. Thank you, sir. I welcome Balaganesh to present today's session. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
So, good evening all. Thank you, sir. Thank you for your introduction. I feel immense pleasure to present over here. In addition to the present designation, I always feel proud to be an alumni of our institute. With this short view, let me present my screen and proceed. I hope my screen is visible, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So, today I wish to discuss something about the topic prototype validation, converting prototype into a startup. Already Zaire introduced about myself, basically a BTech chemical engineer, but further I continued environmental engineering stream and now working as research associate in the field of environmental engineering. So before entering to the topic, what do you think about today's job employment of engineers? It might be recession period, but do you think engineering education is under the downfall category? Definitely no, because as it is mentioned in the slide, technology is a battlefield for top talent. So it is our responsibility to enhance and enrich ourselves to be an achievable person. So three core values are supported with respect to the employment of engineering education, particularly demand and supply and skill. So we have a number of institutes and millions of engineers, but what about the potential they are outcoming towards the society? So whenever a sufficient demand is there, sufficient supply will be required. So we need to produce job. So rather than getting employed, you people, engineers, can able to produce n number of jobs to budding engineers. So that the only important thing we need to possess nowadays is skill. So with this view, why we are entering to the today's discussion. So it is like a glimpse of today's presentation. So what we can discuss? We can discuss about the basic terms and terminologies. I hope you may be from different categories. It might be students, might be professors and all, distinguished groups I have. However, I wish to cover the basic terminology and basics about the startups and a brief overview of it, and what are all the stages of prototype, what are all the significance we can provide for the prototype, and what are all the different types, and the rules, what are all the presentation techniques, and how we can validate it, what are all the competition available for us to show our skills in the form of prototype presentation, and how we can convert the prototype into a startup model, and what are all the converting stages of startup. Whatever may be the opportunity given to you, definitely we need to face set of challenges. So here also, what are all the challenges we need to face? Okay, fine. So prototype. So it is basically a machine or industrial product from which all later forms are developed. So this is the basic model. So that is called a prototype. So if you think about the word prototype, the core prototype word may have supportive words such as concept, design, cost, working, model, test, product, evaluation, softwares, visuals, research, everything and all. So all together, it works a fine prototype. Right? I hope you understand the prototype. And we have different stages of prototype. See, normally before entering to the prototype, we need to think about the problem. Say, for example, I'm an environmental engineer working in the stream of solid waste. So I think numerous solid waste are generating in our society. So that might be the problem. Am I observing? Yeah, that is the problem. And my insight, okay, what we can deal with the massive number of waste generation, whether we can go for disposal as such, or whether we can do any scientific invention to dispose in the right manner, particularly in a scientific way. So I need to have certain idea. So initially I have a problem, and because of my insight and intuition, I have an idea, and after that idea, I create a plan, and that plan will be eventually created as a model, and that model eventually goes to next level, like a pilot type, and afterwards it goes to production type, right? So before knowing about the prototype, you need to know for what we need to create prototype. So before the prototype, what it is, idea, right? So the first and foremost thing is we need to see the challenges or problems nowadays we are facing in our society. So as an engineer, based on your department, based on your core, you have to think about the insights, ideas, and go beyond it, right? Okay. So I can say prototype is in between wireframe and the MVP. We can see what is MVP. Wireframe in the sense, it is just basic idea, which means you may have an innovative idea, but you just write it down as a paper or just make it as an image or a 2D, 3D visual concepts. Okay, but prototype is the next level to that. Okay, after the prototype, we need to have MVP. So only here it is mentioned, low fidelity, little interaction. Okay, which means financially stability is low. If you have only wireframe, it may be innovative. However, how we can trust it? Okay, so only it is coming under the category of low fidelity and little interaction, because with the idea concept alone, we can't interact much, right? So the next level prototype, and then on the further level is MVP. So for your better understanding, see here what is MVP, minimum viable product. So minimum viable product. If you need lighting for a dark place, candle is sufficient, right? But that is most rudimentary, right? Candle is sufficient. So we can say that is minimum viable product. Okay. What is viable? Which is far better than the minimum. If you have a glass cover in order to protect wind blow or any other issues, we have a glass cover and we can use a smart handle. We can carry one frame, one place to another place easily. So we need to think about the next level of need, right? And again, the good product is we should have a tangible customers, which means that technology should be feasible one, right? So you can understand what is minimum product, what is viable product, and what is the well-versed product. So before prototype, you need to have idea, and for that idea, you need to see the problems, right? Then you have to develop your idea one by one. That's it. So here, what we can learn from a prototype. We can learn what are all the concepts behind it, how it functions, how we can use, where we can use, what is the technology behind it, whether it is feasible or not, what is the viability, what is the value, what is the desirability of the customers, right? So these are all the things you can learn from a prototype model. Validation. So the next important thing. So simply validation means you have to confirm about the product. You have to validate it in the sense you have to make sure the product is good, your prototype is good. That is the validation. Simply you need to know that validation is the confirmation stage. Yes, that is good. It is agreeable for next level. If in the validation stage that is not agreeable, so you need to think of altering your work, right? Okay. So you might have many examples are there. If time persists, we can continue practical examples. No issue. So here, in order to validate, what are all the key aspects you need to think of it? So you need to think about the purpose of the prototype. You need to do some research and experiments, not only in the scientific experiments in the frame of laboratory, but also in the field. Okay, you need to see about the different procedure which is feasible for further outgoing, and you need to think about the quality. Okay, so before validating, you need to know all those things, right? So as a general, validation is, it consists of just observing your target user. Okay, so in order to observe your target user, you need to ensure your product is good as per your expectation, right? Okay. If we validate, what is the benefit we can get? Why can't we go further with that prototype model? What is the necessity of taking validation? If you validate your prototype, then you can think of optimization of the expense. You can reduce the cost. You can think about the scalability in a large level that is flexible towards the further process, and you can discover more error during the prototype period. You can able to see what are all the probable error you can able to see, observe, because before entering to the market, we need to rectify ourselves, right? Whatever may be your stream, your idea may have a good innovation, but once it is presented to peer peoples, the scientific people, or the sufficient quality-based peoples, then they may suggest n number of ideas to rectify it, to alter it, to fine-tune it in a right way, right? Okay, so that is the very important aspect of validation, right? So here you can see what is the customer validation to a product manager. So this is the typical example for understanding. So initially, a person need to assume a business model, and they need to think about the customer validation, customer discovery. Then only it tends to be a validated business model. Okay, without observing the customer, without observing the discovery of other issues related to particular business model, we can't sure about the product quality and product profitability. Not only quality, but also profitability. Because once it is entering to the business, the definite terminology is profit, right? Okay. We can say that as a product plan. So let me move on further. So as I said earlier, idea is the key step, right? How will you execute your idea? So the first step is to see the challenge, to see the problem, right? Okay, whenever you have idea, whether it is sufficient to make it as a good product with a good profit, you need to also think about how you can make money out of it. Okay, so these two aspects are very important before you think about a further startup. In the idea stage itself, you need to think about how will you execute your idea and how will you make money out of it. That is important as planning. So typically here you can see idea is the first stage, planning is the second stage, and execution is the furthest stage, right? Okay. So many business models are there. Nowadays, entrepreneurs are very less. However, we can amaze many people are just doing their business in an extraordinary way. So in a normal example, I can quote many examples. Without investment, based on their knowledge itself, many people are successfully running out their job. Yeah, many examples are there. So as I said earlier, the examples and all very vast. So if I cover examples, definitely I can't able to cover further things. So in order to comprehend the basic thing, I can say Ola and some Swiggy, Zomato. This and all the business model. They are just investing their mind rather than money. Hey, so here also I just look into a picture of a business model. Initially, you need to think about customer segment. Whenever you have a good idea, you are going to make idea to prototype, prototype to startup, startup to a wonderful business, okay, and so on. But the foremost thing is how it relates to customer. So that is what the groundwork you need to do. So for that, your technology should be optimum in knowledge as well as financial thing. Okay, customer relation, key activities of the business, the value proposition and revenue streams, what are all the resources you have, whether you are collaborating with some other, what is the cost structure, what are all the channels you can able to develop. So all needs your proper idea with the proper planning strategy. Okay, so no one will give you entire idea to your mind. So it is the inducement or ignition or spark should be ignited from your own idea. So for that, you need to equip yourself sufficiently by referring various things based on the discussions, based on the lectures, based on your own interest towards particular technology. Say if you are from chemical engineering, you can think about it. Okay, so a very basic thing also you can able to convert it into a very large thing. So even we can say soap is a very simple thing, a detergent, but I'm sure a simple detergent is making business in a successful way by covering millions customers. So it is a matter of idea to execution, right? So these are all the various business model related thing what you need to understand before proceeding, right? And so since we are discussing about a prototype, validation, startup, so we need to know about the companies. What are all the types of companies? So sole proprietorship, which means you are the only one owner. Partnership firm, you along with your friends, along with the peers, you can able to make a firm. So limited liability partner, your partner will hold a limited liability, okay, which means they may have advantage over certain thing alone, but not much. Okay, private limited, it is also similar to the limited liability, but you have to register under the category of private limited if it is actually required. Okay, so these are all the various types of company in general. Okay. So as you so far we have discussed about the very basic thing, what is prototype, what is validation. Okay, so now we can think about startup, an overview. Okay, so normally startup is a very first stage of operation in a company, that's all. Okay, normally we are having a high number of population, the number of job creator increases if you start up. Okay, so it is all you need to think. Everyone want to raise a business. The first step is the stage of startup. Okay, so it may vary, the perception varies, but in general, those who are interested towards in the form of business and entrepreneurial skill, definitely they need to understand the various segments of startup, right? Okay. In the basic itself, I covered all those things. Still, I'm just moving ahead with some more ideas. The stages of startup: initial stage, idea, planning, company formation, and IP rights. I hope some of you may know about IP right. Prototype, fundraising, testing phase, production or start of operation, post-production phase, sales and marketing, break-even point, profitability, growth, diversification. So these are all the various stages of startup. Okay, so your idea should not be theft by others. It should be patented. Okay, one of the form of IP right. Okay, some of the thing is copyright, some of the things are patented. Okay, so in which we are just keen about prototype is the foremost and very important, one of the important stage of startup. So that's why it is bolded, right? This is the general idea. How can you increase the life of your startup? So this is each and everyone should understand. This is not a technical aspect. In general, if you work seriously, if you give up the negative attitude, if you schedule properly with the time management and the consistency of your work, your technology should meet the consistent and the discipline planning. Everything is required to increase your life of your startup. See, it should not be obsolete. Say, for example, some of the technologies entirely vanish when a new technology arrives. So what you need to do, you need to update then and there. Else you will not meet the target audience as such. Okay, let's say, for example, 2021, you can able to achieve 1 million sales of your product. If you update yourself, you can increase 5% next year, 5% next year. Similarly, so the important thing behind it is, these are all the key values in general. You need to work in a prompt manner, right? Okay, what are all the challenges in general we have? So even though we have a good idea, a good prototype, a good startup company, we may have competition. How we have to face this challenge? You need to figure it out also. You need to have a good guidance and mentoring. You need to have good team, and the decision making should be prompt one. Okay, financial management, very, very important thing. Security of your product and legal aspect. So each and every key aspect what I am discussing here finds n number of sub challenges. So this is the outline of the challenges what people wish to become an entrepreneur, right? See, you can able to see a screenshot. MHRD's Ministry of Human Resources Department's Innovation Cell. Did any of you know about it? Okay, since I'm in presentation screen, I'm not able to see your reply. Okay, however, I wish to continue. This is the next screenshot. See here, startupindia.gov.in. Even it is startup application to open on 1st July 2021. See, why I am showing this, you can try now. You can go log on to startupindia.gov.in. If you want to participate many challenges, you can create the APP registration number over there. Okay, that is the unique number you can generate based on your basic credentials. Okay, so this is the different segment. I can share what are all the competitions you can able to face, which mean you can able to participate and you can show your talents and skills and you can get fund. Okay, so this is the glimpse before proceeding further. So many opportunities are there for those people who have good idea, a good prototype model, those who have already developed a good prototype model. Okay, those who are in prototype stage will be given preference because the idea stage is not sufficient for the competition. Okay, even idea can able to be get funded. Okay, that is different because my guide also got around 40 plus lakhs fund for the composting solid waste project. And that's the reason I could be able to develop a prototype model for composting to deal with solid waste management. So this is a typical example. In order to find a remedy for solid waste, I can go a physicochemical variation for my particular technology. and I just tried for patent, filed a provisional patent, and I'm waiting for further responses, and also applied some of the events for startup. Okay, so these are all the various. I'm sure it is not that much easy, but you should not give up. So continuously, you need to keep on trying. Various hackathons are there. So this is the one glimpse I can show you. Similarly, I can show what are all the other events or modes you can execute your idea. Because once you know what is startup, what is prototype, what is how to validate, why you need to validate, these are all the basic things. The ultimate thing is the application part. So you can look it in the future slides. So this is already we have discussed in a sufficient way. This is the first and the preliminary version. So you can say that is the sample. Say for example, in my case, for the solid waste, around 25 to 30 kilograms, I have taken 2 steel drums. One steel drum for holding all the waste material, and another one steel drum for inserting sensors and to hold the temperature. Because if I hold a sufficient temperature, the degradation will be fast. Okay, and I simply used the normal stainless steel material, iron material, wood material. The only thing is how I made as a final product. Okay, say for example, with the 10,000 to 15,000, I can able to get a prototype. Okay, then if it is successful after the validation, then I can able to extend to hold tons of waste material. Not only in the form of simply 10 to 25 or 35, because see, our India is almost second. I have a data. So we are generating huge numbers of solid waste. We are leading in the solid waste generators. So this is the glimpse. Just I am sharing you. You can think about your own segment. What is core for your what is the core problem you are seeing based on the literature, based on the real world, based on your field work. You can able to understand your problem, and you can think of simply making a model based on available resources, not more than that. Okay, so your idea should be a model, that's all. If it is running model, that is next level with more attractive benefits. Okay, so okay, let me go ahead. Okay, so as I said, many significant aspects of prototype. Actually, to participate in the real working system, definitely it is the theoretical one, but it serves as the specification for the real working system. Okay, so with this, as I said earlier, we can be able to remodify or alter in a fine tune, so we can able to get good worthy of our product, good feedback of our product, right? So that is the significant of the particular work prototype. Okay, so you can evaluate and you can test the design. You can check the cost. If you say, for example, for 50 kilogram waste, what is the design of my equipment? What is the dimension? What is the cost? What is the technology error I found? If I want to scale up for million, I need to calculate by simulation software or normal mathematical works or advanced various technologies. You can able to calculate if I spend 10,000 for 50 kilogram waste, what would be the cost for millions of waste generation? Okay, that is what the importance you need to provide based on the prototype, right? Okay, now we can see the types of prototype. So normally concept prototype in the sense, simply it shows the concept. Okay, it may not be running model, right? But feasibility is one step ahead than possibility, right? Possibility, all you know, possibility is not market challengeable one, because 4 or 5 ways is possible for particular technology in the sense, which technology is chosen by most of the people and why. So that technology should be feasible because of the economical achievement or because of the innovation behind it. Okay. And horizontal prototype in the sense it checks the scope and requirement of the proposed product. Vertical in the sense it just checks the execution of the service. Right? Functional, it's a functional model that evaluates the usage sequence and steps, testing process, everything. So these are all the normal types of prototype. Okay. What are the basic rules for prototype making? So you need to set a standard. Your goal should be clear. You need to make a clear goal, and you need to do experimentation. Okay. So if you want to give a particular new technology for pharmaceutical field, you need to think about the problems and how your solution is differ from others, whether it is unique. If it is unique, you can just go ahead with your positive spirit and know your budget and just embrace the failures. Definitely you need to see those things. Okay. And you can also add many navigation element. Okay. You have to choose the right tool. So these are all the various rules of prototype. If you are strong enough with all those things, you can able to do a further process. Right? Okay. The next thing is presenting and testing. So if you have a prototype, whether you can present anywhere or where you can present, how you have to present, why you have to test. Okay, so these are all the millions of questions you might have. Okay, the basic thing is you should be sure about what exactly you are testing. Okay, so you need to have a clear goal. That is most important, right? Okay. Test early, test often, which means you need to redesign a prototype because very easy in the beginning stage. Okay, before presenting, you need to ensure the clear goal. You need to test early and test often, and you need to test participant contributions because many participants will give wonderful idea during your testing session. Definitely, you have to get idea from the participants. Definitely, you might have a better idea. So you have to encourage similar testing from your participants too. See, if it is in the class level, you can discuss what you taught from your friends. Some of you might collaborate, and some of the other groups may do different things, but they can give feedback to this particular category, and you can give feedback to that category. Okay, so that you can ensure that is error-free, that is feasible, that is innovative, right? And this is more important. Test with the right people. Because even though you can able to discuss and test with your friends, that is not sufficient. Why? Because the peer feedback is most important. Those who are expert in the particular field can only justify your product, justify your idea. They can able to give valuable insight rather than other people's. So your testing should be with the right people is more important. So before presenting and testing, this is very mandatory. And while you're presenting your idea, you should be neutral because you should not exaggerate yourself, because then only you can have a good feedback, and so that the negative things can be altered in a positive way. And be open-minded and accept the feedback even though it is negative, because that is most important in the preliminary level. Because once it is executed, the negative feedback can be very difficult to rectify ourselves. Okay, so and communicate limitation. So this is on the other hand, you also need to limit your communication. Why? Because you are not completely confirmed your product. It's been confirmed your idea. Okay, so it might have IP issues like a patent issues, and your idea can be left by others, and you may not sure about your product, but you are exaggerating and communicating with the n number of people in the sense that leads to a negative aspect, right? And you can try iteration. So keep on practice, keep on doing is most important thing, right? Okay. So now we can go to validation stage. So validation, very simple words I told you. It's just simply confirmation of your prototype. Whatever the technology or your solutions, suggestions executed in the way of right manner, and it is made as a model, prototype model. It should be validated for the economical aspect, for the quality aspect, for the profitability aspect. Okay, so the objective of this prototype validation is to get a design solution. That is most important, and that too based on the hypothetical testing. Okay, you can create a hypothesis and test it. Okay, if it is facing this much people, what will be the solution? Okay, and the validation, you have to determine various problem to solve, and you need to go for the modification of your concepts. Okay, so you need to use the interface as a starting point to conversation and learning everything. Okay, so that's why the prototype validation is a crucial part, and definitely it is a part of successful product development process. Okay, so how you can start the validation? Okay, we need to do prototype validation because frequently I'm explaining why. How you have to do the validation. So start with research. Okay, which means based on your idea, your prototype, you do sufficient research. You should know who you are and why it is building for, and whether your product will solve sufficient problem in a sufficient way. Yeah, as I said just before, I observed solid waste, so that's why I just thought of making a model for just overcoming the solid waste issue. Similarly, whatever may be the problems or issue you may come across to create a product, right? So you need to think whether your product solves the problem or not. So you do the exploratory research, right? And you should have hypothesis, and you should test the behavior, not only the opinion, right? There is a difference between opinion and behavior, right? Lean approach, familiar advocate Eric Reyes. That is the good example. You can able to browse it out. What is lean approach? Actually, initially you need to start with the minimum amount. So that is lean, not stout, right? So that is lean approach. So if you are spending less and earning sufficient, then your technology is feasible. So that is why lean approach. You should not execute initially with a massive scalability. Instead, you can go for a limited scalability. Okay, so what are all the stages? The 4 important stages of validating the problem, validating the market, validating the product, and validate willingness to pay, right? So initially, if you find a particular problem, whether the problem is worth solving. Okay, if users don't think this is a major problem, your solution won't be appalling. See, definitely, if you think a particular problem of your technology, the end users not facing that as a big problem, then definitely there won't be much risky. And validate the market, how far it is recommended. Okay, how worth it is. Okay, so from the initial stage to market stage, you need to do various groundwork, okay, with full responsibility. And you need to validate the product, okay. As I said just before, already there is a solution in our market. What is the difference of that thing with your thing? How your product is unique from that product? Okay, so chemical engineering scope, you know, process industry, many process industry, petroleum refineries, okay, ETPs, effluent treatment plants, STPs, okay, sewage treatment plants. So there is no single line of challenge. It may go page by page. You can able to see n number of challenges in your field. Okay, so even though you may have millions of solutions for that, you can able to innovate the idea and give your best. Okay, so that's the reason there is no end to R&D. If there is no end to R&D, definitely there is no end to new business and new ideas, right? And actually, if your idea meets all the 4 validation criteria, like market validation, problem validation, product validation, and how it is how willingly it is paid attention towards the people, okay, then definitely you feel free to move ahead, and directly you can convert that into a product. Okay, so this is the additional idea, protocol, which means like a standard operating procedure. Okay, so you can write these are all optional in order to ensure your prototype model. Okay, in order to ensure your work, you need to write a protocol for the validation process, because we are discussing how validation should be done. Why validation should be done, all you know, that is for correction before going to market. How validation should be done, that's why I'm saying 4 stages of validation. Similarly, you can write and extend that thing. This is another aspect of validation by writing a protocol. Okay, like a document, you can create a new validation protocol. Okay, say for example, here in the case of a pharmaceutical company, a validation protocol. Okay, what are all the things it should contain? That protocol should contain approval. Okay, because each and everything needs proper approval, proper agreeability for the next level. Okay, then you need to have a valid objectives. Okay, why you are doing this? Okay, so you need to have a set of objectives, right? And you need to mention the scope. If you validate it, what is the scope? Okay, once your product is validated, your prototype is validated, where it finds application in a wide area or in a profitable model. Okay, and what is the reason for validation? That is most important. Okay, if you are strong with the reason for validation, you can able to think easily towards the further development. And you can revalidate the criteria. You can check out the responsibility of each and every department. Say, for example, if it is a water treatment plant, starting from the input, influent, receiving from, many schemes are given by Tamil state government as well as central government funding. Many funding resources are available. But the thing is, you need to be a unique personality to develop good ideas with a good writing skill, right? So it might be from, say for example, if E-road, say for example, E-road is the familiar place where n number of dyeing industries there. So they may frequently fight with government about the effluent disposal towards the nearby water bodies, right? So if you people are interested towards giving a good solution and converting into a good business model, you can think of certain schemes provided by state governments. If you can make more than 10 people, 10 industry, and you can meet the 10 industry heads, and you can just check about their effluent, and you can come to know about the effluent characteristics, right? So based on the effluent characteristics, what are all the treatment you can able to proceed. So each and every department, starting from the groundwork to ending towards the final product, you may have technological aspect, you may have financial aspect, you may have feasibility aspect, and you may have to check the customer willingness, right? And what procedure you are adapting, and how it is unique from others, and why is there any deviations from the rest of other technologies. Okay, so these are all the protocol for validation. Okay, so your prototype model should be validated in a fine way. Okay, and you need to do a good conclusion over it. Right. Okay, now I am just going to the competitions, which mean application part. So many opportunities you peoples are having by various government and private peoples. Startup India is one of the typical examples, that's all. Apart from that, many private private companies are offering hackathons along with the government. They may have n number of challenges. Say, for example, as I said in the initial, you can log on to Startup India and you can able to see any challenges. See here, Grand Water Saving Challenge. I think the event conducted in April. You can able to get lakhs and lakhs of funds. Okay, design a smart Indian toilet, help India save water. So this is their need. See, what is the beauty of this thing and all? So you people are engineers, you may know about the technology of your particular department. Based on your interest in research, based on your interest in subject, you may study different research articles and field work, and you may know set of problems facing by your own core departments, right? And apart from that, you can also log on to the private and government segments and you can able to see their problems and you just try to give solution. That's it. Okay, so here in the Startup India website, you may have n number of challenges. So you can give your best for attending various competitions under this particular category. And apart from this, many universities with industries and private companies are providing hackathons, Smart India Hackathon, industrial defined problem solving. Likewise, many people are providing opportunities. Okay. If you are strong enough with the knowledge, you can able to get funds, you can able to get earnings, not only cash price, but also you can develop your own business. Entrepreneurial skill is secondary. The first and foremost skill required is the design concept, how we can overcome. And I'm just explaining about these particular challenges. If you are strong in technology, these people will support for the further developments. They need only a strong, unique idea, right? So, yeah, how you can convert prototype into a model, further prototype model into a bigger product. So you need to raise the fund, you need to apply patent, maybe Indian patent or international patent. Okay, you need to sell a concept, because once you patent it, you can sell off your concept, right? And licensing the concept, and you have to rectify your errors and represent it, right? And finalization of the design phase, whatever your prototype have, you have to reconstruct on the final product, and you have to collect all the details of the product design or service model, whatever it may be. It may vary from one to one, right? And the speculations of the final product, and what are all the pitch for fund or design. Okay, so these are all the next phase of startup journey to further move on. Okay. Further, in order to convert, you need to design a simple mock-up, like a mock-up examination for your competitive exams, for your career or anything. Here also you need to do a design mock-up. Whether your product is physical or digital or whatever it may be, you need to do a design mock-up, and you need to ensure your work is good for scalability. Okay, as much as small scale, you can go ahead, because that needs only minimum amount of financial and other support. So initially, you need to create a mini version of your event or program or the product or community experience. Okay, so that the target audience will support you and give you correctness of your product, right? So these are all also some of the idea hackathons. You can able to meet the challenges from hackathons. You can make a landing of various platforms. Okay, wherever you can you may have the audience to explore yourself or present yourself. You need to think that as a boon to you, right? So that you can able to showcase your talents and skills. You can further explore in that particular category, right? So low production beta in the sense, by low budget, you need to try to achieve a good profit. Okay, if my budget is high, I can ultimately my profit will be high, but it's quite difficult everyone to get high amount of budget, right? So if you think about the cost optimization, then that is the real success. Because say for example, if 25% of the peoples are economically good, they may prefer your idea if your idea is too costly. But think about it, 75% of the people may prefer only economical products, right? So that's the reason behind low production beta, investing in low budget, right? And yeah, this is also the competitions I already discussed. Okay. So further, we can just discuss about the very important thing, how you have to raise the funds. So many ways are there. We may aware, we may not aware, but after this particular workshop, you just explore as much as better. Okay, because no one will give you entire A to Z idea. They will just ignite you, and that spark should be further extended towards the entire idea. Okay, the option is yours. You may go bootstrapping, you may go for incubator support, you may get grants from this government or private or universities, whatever it may be, and you can go for crowdfunding. Okay, bootstrapping in the sense from your own money or friends, family. Okay, so that is called bootstrapping. So you can invest for your prototype or your startup from your own money. Okay, without lending money from any particular third party. Okay, and next option is incubator. So many incubators are there under the government and under the private. We may have n number of incubator. Even many institutions are having incubation. Okay, for business support, nothing else. Incubation in the sense your idea will be supported by them. That is incubation, right? They may accelerate your idea to product, and you can apply for DST. This is an example. So Directorate of Science, the Department of Science and Technology. Okay, nowadays many online submission are there rather than the physical submission. Nowadays, quite we have possible submission through online for various things, not only business, but today we are discussing about this prototype validation and startup. So that's I just focus on the grants what you are available in this category, right? And crowdfunding is support from third parties, a little, okay, like a small funding, and you can go and participate in the competition hackathon. This is the wonderful way for students. So rather than others, if you focus on competition hackathon, this is the wonderful way. Okay, because you can ensure your intellectual property by patenting, and at the same time you can get good lump sum of money for prizes for your work as a prizes, and you can get guidance for your business so that you can enhance your entrepreneurial skill. Okay, angel investor, some proportion will be supported by some of the third party. Okay, they may registered under the angel investor category, and venture capitalist. So all these things are different methodology to raise the funds. I think a recent movie also you may come to know about the venture capitalist, right? Okay, you know about it. Okay, just to understand about the venture capitalist, I'm just saying about those things also. That's all. And this is the one of the way to register yourself. This is all the next level. However, I wish to show you this is also possible like that. Okay, so there is a online platform. You can able to get a digital significance certificates by paying certain money. You can able to get a DSC certificate And once you have this digital certificate, it's like a license. Okay, so you may have a different opportunity for funding from various sectors like private banks, government banks, private incubation centers, and government incubation center. Okay, this is a typical way to register. So you can Google it, DSC. Okay, there is a website to obtain digital citizenship. This might be helpful for your online patent application, because online patent needs DSC. Unless or until you can't patent it online. So you can do all those things, but you need to submit it in the form of hard copy. If you have a DSC, you can able to patent it in the online. Okay, so these are all different files. It may give a glimpse. These are all the possibilities, right? And okay, in order to convert your prototype, you need to think of why the fund should be raised, how much I need to raise. You need to digitally or manually, you need to execute these steps, why the fund should be raised, how much it is. So not only the idea is sufficient, express your idea in a right way is most important. If your idea is the first step, expressing idea is the best step. Okay, so see, some of the helps you can get from the consultancy or agency. Say, for example, if you're not strong in writing your idea, but you are strong in technology, you use up that particular technology, and you can get support from the people, those who are expert in the writing part. Okay, it's not necessary to get all the skills within you. If you are strong with the certain skills, you can get support from the apt category of people, right? Okay. So testing phase is one of the phase you need to think about the legal thing, technical thing, cost calculation, everything, you know, particularly for the error rectification. Okay, I think so. I can come to the conclusion. So prototype conversion also need a startup operation of your resources, your checking, breakdown prevention, interruption, and post-production phase. Once it is produced, you need to think about the quality, packaging, storage, because now itself you need to think of all those things. So then only you can adjust it in the stage by stage. So you need to think of the growth, and sometimes it may diverge from one segment to another. So it may have increased production. You may expect 10 million, but fortunately, if it is 12 million, what you need to do? If it is 8 million, what you need to do? That are all the further steps of conversion process. And break even, which means overcoming of cost of production, how you have to overcome that issue. If the revenue exceeds cost, what you can do? Okay, because the ultimate thing is profit, right? So that is the break even. You need to just tally the cost of expense with the profit, right? And you may have a number of challenges. Definitely resources, monetary resources, manpower, errors, pre-presentation error, particularly technical and efficiencies. Okay, so these are all some of the limited challenges you may face, but you need to be ready for that. And these are all the some of the references I just referred. And with this, I just conclude my session, workshop, and thank you for giving me opportunity. I hope I can just give my idea and perception towards making you as a good entrepreneur.
Students, you have any queries, you can ask me. Students, you can ask now. Okay, I would like to call Dr. Jyotish Kumar to feedback about today's session.
Thank you, Mr. Balaganesh, for your wonderful talk, and I to be very proud of our alumni of our Arunai institution. has been taken this much of initiatives, especially to the startup of an ideas. As you told about the prototype model, the design which is especially needed, and the students should be concentrate on different kinds of competitions, as you mentioned, like it may be an hackathon or an ideathon. So that's what we have been making our students to be giving a knowledge related to that particular part. And you given a wide knowledge related to the startup, especially to the incubation center and accelerator, and as well as how the startup. So on behalf of the Institution Innovation Council, and as well as on behalf of our IAC president and as a convener of the IAC, I congratulate and make your smart presentation on this particular session. Thank you, Mr. Balaganesh, for your wide presentation and crispy related to the words, the technical terms that you've been explained. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Now I would like to ask Arunai to give vote of thanks.
Thank you, sir. Am I audible?
Yes, yes.
Greetings to all. It gives me an immense pleasure to propose the vote of thanks for this intellectual webinar on prototype validation, converting a prototype into a startup. I express my sincere gratitude to the details of this webinar, Mr. P. Balaganesh, Research Associate, Bannariamman Institute of Technology, Satyamangala, for sharing his valuable time, experience, and knowledge with us to motivate our learners. I express my sincere gratitude for our Honorable Registrar, Dr. R. Satyaseelan, our respected Principal, Dr. R. Ravichandran, for creating this wonderful event. I would like to express my heartfelt thanks to our Head of the Department of Chemical Engineering, Mr. A. Vimal Kumar, the Head of various departments, and the faculty members of Arunai Engineering College for organizing this valuable event. Last but foremost, I want to extend my sincere thanks to my dear learner community friends for making this webinar a successful one. I thank one and all the participants of this webinar for attending this webinar with patience. Thank you. Thanks a lot.